Hi, today I'm doing a step-by-step video showing how you can do this very easy pour using silicone oil. I start out with adding a bit of the paint that I'm going to use for the swipe color at the very top of the canvas. And that's because I don't want the silicone directly on the canvas, as it tends to make kind of holes down to the canvas so that you can see the canvas through the paint, and I don't want that. The paint I'm using here is Amsterdam, and it's a Van Dyke brown that I have mixed with a bit of Naples yellow light. The color that you use for the swipe should be either very dark or very bright, in my opinion, because you want the contrast in the cells. I mix my paints with Owatrol, which is the European floetrol. It's a bit thicker than the American one. My ratio is 2 parts floetrol, 1 part paint, and then 1 part water. And you might want to add less water because depending on what kind of floetrol you're using. You can put down the paints in straight lines, or you can do like I do here and put it down, mixing it a bit. I like it to come out a little bit more irregular, so that's why I do it. The yellow one I just put down was from Golden. It's the quinacridone as a gold. And now I'm adding a bit of gold. The gold tends to take over a bit, so I'm just adding a little bit of that. Your result will depend on the consistency of your paints, and you just have to make sure that the different colors are in the same consistency. And now I'm adding Amsterdam Naples yellow light, and I want that to be a gradient, so I have a lot of light in the top and then the colored ones at the bottom. The amount of paint you need to use is difficult to explain. You need enough, of course, because you need the paint to easily swipe across each other. And of course you don't want too much, because then it's going to take ages to dry and you'll risk getting cracks in the paint. You want the canvas to be completely covered in paint. You don't want any holes anywhere. And what I'm doing now is just making sure there are no holes, and I'm mixing the paints a bit so that it's going to look a little more interesting. And I try to overlay the paints a bit, because that is going to create cells that have different colors inside. And this is a bit hard to see, but I'm pouring a bit of my Van Dyke brown into a separate container. And now I'm adding 3 drops of silicone oil. 1 or 2 drops would probably be enough as well. The mixing of the silicone with the paint is actually quite important. The more you mix it, the smaller the cells you'll get. So this is for small painting, and I want small cells, so I'm going to mix it quite a bit. If it was for a large painting, I wouldn't mix it this much. And now I'm pouring the silicone paint at the top of my canvas, making sure it's covered all the way to the edge and in a fairly equal amount along the edge. So this is my swipe tool. You can use a lot of different things. This is, I don't know what it's called in English actually. It's stuff you put under your carpets to keep them from sliding around. I often use damp kitchen wall as well. You can use plastic, you can use cardboard, you can use your Visa card, whatever. Just make sure you do an even slow pull or swipe across the whole canvas. It's important that you can do the swipe in a steady pace without moving around too much. You don't want to take steps backwards while you do the swipe, because that is going to interrupt the movement of the swipe tool. What I like to do is have one leg behind the other so that I can easily and slowly move the weight of my body from the front leg to the back leg, and that gives you a smooth swipe. I usually don't tilt my swipe afterwards, but with this one I had so much paint on and I just wanted to get rid of a bit of the brown, so I was just very carefully tilting it a bit. Another very important thing while you're doing these kind of swipes where you have a lot of paint on the canvas is to make sure that your canvas don't sag in the middle. If it does, it's going to move towards the center and it's going to ruin the cells. So you have to put something underneath the canvas to make sure it's all in line. And finally, make sure you remove drips from the edge. If you don't, it's going to pull down the paint from the sides and from the edges, and it's going to look lighter than the rest then. Yep, and that's pretty much it. Feel free to ask questions and I'll try and help you. And here is a close-up of the wet result, and just look at those amazing cells. I just love the way you have the gold lining inside the brown swipe. Feel free to have a look at my other videos or at my homepage or my Instagram, and here is a link coming up for my homepage. Take care.